Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to another Make Me Love You. I keep forgetting the title. This has got to be episode 10. And we left it that Leon was on his new path of trying ladyboys, looking for his perfect partner. And on the last episode, he'd, for the first time, taken a ladyboy that had had the majority of the operations. He was now, and he said that she was like a number 9 potentially. He was now on the search, stopped the restaurant search, stopped everything, concentrating on finding a ladyboy that had had all the operations, that spoke reasonably good English and was pretty. The next day, I remember him coming in the morning briefly, but in the evening alone. And he said, I'm just struggling because I've asked so many ladyboys the questions. They recognise me when I come up and they've already talked to me. And I've made lots of sketches. And they do seem to hang around in groups. If they're, a bar could be just ladyboy bar or a certain area. He said, I'm struggling. I keep asking the girls, the ladyboys, and when I ask them, have they got a friend who's had all the operations, the answer seems to be, have friend, but friend have partner, boyfriend. He said, I couldn't find any today. Right. He said, but one girl did say that the big ladyboy show, and I still can't remember what it was called, put it in the comments below, whether it was Simon's Cabaret or Alcatraz or something like that, Alcatraz, or I can't, anyway, there's one in Pattaya up third roadway. He said a couple of people had mentioned that this is the most beautiful ladyboys, but they are professional workers. Most of them have had all the operations. He said they can afford to in the jobs they do. He said, but that's going to be hard to talk to them because they're all working. And I said to him, I believe, because people have told me this, that after the shows, and sometimes before, they come outside and they do photos and you have to pay for the photos with them. And you can get to meet them there. And he said, right. So I can chat to them. I said, maybe. Yeah, I said, yeah, you know what you're doing. I said, I don't know what to ask. Right. And he said, I'm going to go off and find out about the show. And this was early evening he was in. I don't know, the show's probably about 8 o'clock at night or something. But I think he's probably missed it. But off he went, early. He also said that he was back off to work the following day and another 2 weeks. So I said, oh, okay, enjoy the show if you find it, and I'll see you in a few weeks. He said, yes. And he went off again. It was becoming common, this. He'd just disappear off the next day for a few weeks. A few weeks went by. In he came on the morning, and he said, I didn't catch the show, but I got the times. He said, I'm just back today. He said, I'm going to another show tonight. He said, and I'll see what happens. I said, okay. And he'd been working in Bangkok. And I said to him, you've been in Bangkok. Surely there's lots of ladyboys in Bangkok. He said, Bangkok's quite scary. The entertainment areas that, they're quite forceful, all the girls. And he said, I haven't started to feel comfortable exploring Bangkok entertainment zones. I said, I'm sure you're going to find some there. He said, yes, no doubt. He said, but I'm off to this show. Off he went. About 11 o'clock came, he came back in. I said, oh, didn't expect to see you. He said, very good show. Very pretty ladyboys. And yes, you can get photos and briefly chat to them. And I asked a few of them, and most of them said that they've got boyfriends. And when I asked if any of their friends were beautiful and had all the operations, they sort of wouldn't answer me. Oh, he said they were quite uppity about it. talking to me about that sort of thing. I said, okay. He said, I'm really scratching my head. He said, the one area I've still got to go and do and explore more is Soy 6. I said, right. I said, there's a fair chance you're going to find what you're looking for. Maybe there. I said, but I'm not sure. And he said, the road behind. I said, okay. Next day, actually, I don't think he came in the next day. I think it was the day after. Came in with a ladyboy. Pretty. And he came in, it was daytime. No frozen. And he just sat chatting, and he didn't really chat to me. But he was very happy, you could see. He went. Came back in the evening with that ladyboy. I said, you found the one then? He said, sort of. Oh, why? Come on, do explain. He said, I'm going to chat to her first with Frozen and I'll come back to you later. Okay. It turns out that this ladyboy was halfway through the operations, but had done it in sort of, I don't know if there's an order. You do one thing first, then the next. But anyway, this ladyboy had the chop down below as the first. Had actually had a couple of operations, one to chop and then one to make it better, I presume, down below, and had not had the breast implants. That was next on the list, but it had the Adam's apple. So they shave it. I don't know. I suppose it's bone or cartilage, and they shave it down so it's not as prominent. But this ladyboy had this shaved and also ears pinned a bit. So I take it she had big ears or something. And also a lot of hair work, as it waxing or laser or whatever. But her next operation was going to be the breast implants, and then one I'd not heard of or twigged, or the voice box. And still to this day I don't know if there's operations on voice boxes to change, because you could get the perfect ladyboy who's now a lady, and as soon as she starts talking, she comes out with a guy's low voice, yeah, I'd love a Leo, sort of thing, or a martini. So can they change a voice box? I still don't know, and I never got the answers out of Leon, or if he did tell me, I forgot. But can you change a voice box, change a voice? Can you do something to it that makes you squeak or something? Squeaky ladyboy. Anyway, she was going to have the breast enlargement and the squeaker done. And he said this girl was absolutely lovely. Long hair, real hair, not extensions and things. And Rod Stewart comes around just to annoy us. He talks a lot. He needs his squeaking voice box done. He said, this girl's great, really good. He said, just a shame she hasn't had the last couple of bits done. I said, well, why don't you, joking, I said, well, try her out, and if she's brilliant, why don't you pay for those last few bits to be done? And he's like, that's not a bad idea. I'll actually be designing the size and everything myself. He said, it's a bit like engineering. I said, so you're constructing potentially here your lady, your partner? And he's like, make me love you. He said, that's not a bad idea. He said, get one that's on the way, looking good, ticks all the boxes. He said, I need to try this lady out. And I'm like, it's a lady boy. He said, I'll try this lady out tonight. He said, great idea. Me manufacturing my own lady. I'm like, oh no, you can't be real. You can't be for real. Next, you're going to take... Can I... How do you know if a guy, is the guy good looking, going to be a good looking lady boy? And I did, I'm sure over the next few days I was talking about this with him. Can you see the guy that now wants to be the ladyboy? Can you tell if you can turn that guy into a beautiful ladyboy? Is there a book, a manual that says do this, and do. I should have joked to him, write a book on how to become a ladyboy. Anyway, he took this girl off, come back the next day with her, and I'm like, wow. And he went, yeah. He said, her English is it's not bad. He said, we can understand each other. She was definitely a 9, apart from not having a couple of things done. He said, it's just a few euros, a few Deutschmarks, it's like, okay. He said, what? I said, are you going to take this seriously, or are you going to carry on looking? He said, I'll just keep her on file, do my sketches, write some notes, and just carry on looking to see maybe, this one is only 5'5". Really want, I said, oh, now it's height. He said, yeah, well, yeah, I can't really put big shoes on her all the time. He said, really want sort of 5'6", 5'7". I said, okay. So now you know the height. I said, what size breast enlargements if you. He said, whoa. He said, I like medium, not too big, not too small. Okay. He said, yeah. He said, some of them take pills. I said, isn't that the pills that women take, the contraception, as in not going to get pregnant, and it changes the hormones of guys? He said, something like that, I think. He said, but it takes a while to grow your own. Can you grow your own to different sizes with taking more pills? We never answered. We never knew. Can you? And he said, it's a great idea, manufacturing my own lady. I said, you really are, seriously. I said, what about girls? Have you given up on girls now? He said, this girl, last night, this lady, okay, she started off differently, but she did everything to please me so much more than any lady I've been with. And I went, I've got to ask the question, Leon. I said, and I remember, I said, Leon, I've got to ask the question. This lady started as a guy. Okay, now she's almost a lady. Does that mean you have gay tendencies because you go into bed with what was a guy? He said, no, I'm really into ladies. He said, and if this lady boy has still got the bits, then I could see where you're coming from and I could understand it. And he said, then I would probably say I must have gay tendencies. He said, however, once they've gone through the stages, they were born a woman in a man's body. He said, I can prove that from all the questioning and everything I've gone through. They really believe when they were born that they are women trapped in a man's body. He said, resoundingly. They feel they are ladies, and they are ladies. He said, so once they've had all the operations, he said, they're ladies. So no, he said, don't have gay tendencies, I'm not gay. He said, nothing wrong with that. He said, but no, I'm a heterosexual man. He said, once they're completely done, he said, they're ladies. I went, okay, I mean, that's a good explanation. It really answers a lot of questions people have in the world about, do you have to be gay to go with the ladyboys and things? That breaks it down quite nicely. Once they've had all the operations, they are completely women, but maybe unable to have children, but a lot of people don't want children, so. And it did sort of like educate me. These months talking to Leon educated me, and I respected his judgment and his thoughts, and I respect people, anybody who goes with a ladyboy, has a girlfriend, as a ladyboy partner. If that person makes you happy, then it doesn't matter what other people think, does it? Not at all. And he really was happy. He just said, I can't stretch her and make her taller. He said, so I'm going to continue looking. He said, I'm only here for a few days this trip. He said, I've got to go off to, it wasn't one of the usual places. I think he went to Hong Kong. But anyway, he said, I've got to go off. And then straight after, I've got another trip to Vietnam, he said, so it's going to be a month before I get back. But when I come back, he said, I will go back to Soy 6, he said, because there's more girls there that have had more of the operations. I said, you're going to go to Soy 6? He said, yes. But I'm going to keep in touch with this one, because maybe I can live with the height thing. Maybe I can pay for her squeaker. And get the right size, cup size for me. Okay. I said, you better figure that one out then as well, so you know the exact size. He said, yes, of course I will. I'll get my spreadsheets out. Oh, bless. And I just loved Leon. He was just so open and so genuine, and his desires and the processes, it's just amazing. Anyway, guys, I'm filming this on Sunday, whatever the date is today. Well, it must be the 29th, I think. Tomorrow I'm off to Pattaya for a few days, a few nights. So you'll be watching this way after I've come back from Pattaya, but I'm off to Pattaya. Memory lane. I will be making a video of my old bars. See if I can sit in the roughly the same place in Soy 7. I had that last conversation just now. Let's see if I can film that. Right, I'll see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.